Hello again, we're going to do chapter 10.6, which is all about word problems. So for this section, I'm going to try to do 3 questions that generally give you an idea of how to solve word problems. Unfortunately, every single problem requires a slightly different take. You just have to take a step back, maybe draw a picture, try to reason, maybe there's some sort of formula in order to solve these. So what I'm going to try to teach you is the strategy. The first one we're starting with looks very imposing with like 5 lines, but we'll just tear it apart sentence by sentence. A sandwich shop specializes in sandwiches, prepared in buns of length 18 inches. So we got a sandwich shop, they have 18-inch subs, okay, good deal. Jenny, Emma, and Sarah buy 1 sandwich and take it back to their apartment. Since they have different appetites, Jenny cuts the sandwich in such a way that Emma gets 1/2 of what Jenny gets, and Sarah gets 3/4 of what Jenny gets. Find the length of each person's sandwich. Okay, so let's see. We know we have buns that are 18 inches long, and Jenny, Emma, and Sarah bought 1 sandwich and take it back to their apartment. So for the first 2 sentences, pretty much all they told us is we have 1 sandwich that is 18 inches long. They also told us there's 3 people, Jenny, Emma, and Sarah. Since they have different appetite, Jenny cuts the sandwich in such a way that Emma gets 1/2 of what Jenny gets and Sarah gets 3/4 of what Jenny gets. So they're cutting up the sandwich. Say that's a piece and here's another piece. There's what Jenny has. There's what Emma has. And I spelled Emma wrong. And then there's Sarah. Now let's see, let's read this again. Since they have different appetite, she cuts in such a way that Emma gets 1/2 of what Jenny gets. I don't think they ever told us what Jenny gets, so I'm going to say Jenny gets X. And Emma gets 1/2 of X. Of usually means multiplication, so that's nice, the part about it. Then Sarah gets 3/4 of what Jenny gets. So 3/4, Jenny got X, so Sarah gets 3/4 of X. Ugh. So now we have 3 pieces of a sub, and if we were to total these subs back together, if we lived in a perfect world, we cut them evenly, no breadcrumbs were lost, we would end up back with the 18-inch sub. So if we add up all these pieces together, we should get back the 18-inch sub. Now it's up to us to go ahead and combine like terms and solve for x. Now we have 1x plus 1/2 x plus 3/4. They're all like terms since they're all x, so all we have to do is add 1 plus 1/2 plus 3/4, where we're adding the coefficients. And when we add fractions, we need a common denominator. So we can throw 1 over 1. The common denominator is 4, so we'll multiply top and bottom by 4. Multiply both top and bottom by 2. And what we have here is 4/4 plus 2/4 plus 3/4. And that gets us 9/4. So let's see, let's go back. We have all this was x's we were talking about, so we have 9/4 x equals 18. We still have to solve for x. It's 9/4 times x. So to undo it, we divide by 9/4. What we do to one side, we have to do to the other. And we're left with x equals. Now, if you have a little bit of trouble here, remember you have the numerator divided by the denominator. Whenever we divide by a fraction, we can keep, change, flip. 9 can go into 18 twice, and we have 2 times 4 is 8. Now be careful, we're talking about a word problem here. So we got to go back, let's scroll back up, and see what we were talking about. X represented Jenny. So Jenny is getting 8 inches of a sub. Emma is getting 1/2 of what Jenny gets. So we're getting 1/2 of 8, which is 4 inches of a sub. Then Sarah gets 3/4 of what Jenny gets, and 4 can go into 8 twice. 3 times 2 is 6. So when we write out our final answer, let me scoot back down to the bottom. We're going to state, okay, Jenny got those 8 inches, and you gotta include your unit or else it's not right. Emma got a half of that, so she got 4 inches. And Sarah got 3/4, which gives her 6 inches. And if we were to add up all these lengths, 6 plus 4 is 10, plus 8 is 18, we have the 18-inch sub. And that's it, you're done. So just be careful. Make sure you pull out important things. Something I didn't bring up that would help someone if they're reading another word problem is notice how they compared everything to what Jenny gets. That's what made me determine I wanted Jenny to be X to make life easier, because everything was in terms of what Jenny's getting. So you might want to look for similar patterns. Let's try another one. This one's pretty darn different. It assumes we have some prior knowledge from geometry. It says the second angle of a triangle is 3 times as large as the first. The third angle measures 30 degrees more than the first angle. Find the measure of the angles. It's a little nightmarish. We know we're talking about a triangle though. So here's our picture of our triangle. Now, it can be any triangle you want. It doesn't necessarily have to look like this one. You could draw it any way you please. The one thing that they're assuming we know, and this is from geometry, that if we were to take the sum of all the angles, A, B, and C, the sum of the angles is 180 degrees. And that's our common sense. The problem is actually very nice once we've acquired this knowledge. So let's look at this problem again. It says the second angle of the triangle is, nice word, 3 times as large as the first. The third angle measures 30 degrees more than the first angle. Oh, there's that similar thing, very similar to like how Jenny gets. They keep comparing it to the first angle. They never told me what the first angle is. So here, I'll draw another triangle. Here's my triangle. I'm going to say my first angle is X, because I don't know what it is. We'll just say it's X. Now they say the second angle is 3 times as large as the first. So that's 3 times X. And the third angle measures 30 more. More than is addition, so 30 more than X. Find the measures of the angles. So now I know 3 angles. And I know the sum of all the angles should get me 180. So X plus 3X plus 30 plus X should equal 180 according to geometry. And it does. So let's go ahead, now that we have some like terms, combine them. Remember, this is really 1x. So we have 1x plus 3x is 4x, plus another 1x is 5x, plus 30 equals 180. We got to get x by itself, so we'll subtract 30 from both sides. And we have 5x equals 150. And I'm going to have to scroll down a little bit. We have where we have to divide by 5 on both sides, and x equals 30. Now let's be careful. X was representing our first angle. So we got to make sure we label these out, just like what we did with Jenny, Emma, and Sarah. So the first angle is 30 degrees. Our unit is in degrees. Our second angle was 3 times the first angle. So 3 times 30 is 90 degrees. And last but not least, our third angle is 30 more than our first, which is 30 more than 60. And that deleted everything on me. And I said 60. 60 is the answer. Backtrack, ignore everything I said. 30 plus 30 is 60 degrees. You probably already had the answer, and we are good. And if we added up all these, 30 plus 60 is 90, plus another 90 gets us 180. So there is our answer. Alright, so the thing that this problem assumed we knew was this nice formula. So these problems tend to require us to either draw a picture of some sort, like our sub, or maybe know a formula. Let's go ahead and see this next one. It says the sum of two consecutive mile markers on I-90 in upstate New York is 627. Find the numbers on the markers. There's a couple of ways you could try this one. The first thing I want to make sure we're aware of is what consecutive means. So consecutive means one follows after another. So we have, let's say, let me try a more basic example. Let's say we start with 1. The next consecutive number would be 2. And then the next would be 3, and we continue on in that fashion. It's kind of like when you're in the pages of a book. Let's say I'm at page 52. The next page that follows should be 53, and then 54, and continues on in that fashion. So if I were to start at any random old page, say X, the next page should be X plus 1, the next one should be X plus 2, and continues on in that fashion. So that's consecutive mile markers. So I'm going to delete this. Let's go ahead and talk back more. We have the sum of two consecutive mile markers. So I have X, and then the next one's X plus 1. So there's my 2 mile markers. And they're telling us to take the sum of them. So we're adding them. They say it is a beautiful word, which means equal to 627. Find the numbers on the markers. So pretty much now we just solve for X. Combine like terms and get X by itself. And we're left with X equals 313. Now be careful. This is just 1 mile marker. So 1 mile marker is 313. The next mile marker is the consecutive one after that, which is 314. So those are our 2 answers. You don't have to differentiate between the 2 because I just said mile markers. There's 2 of them. So you could say here's the first mile marker, here's the second one, but it really is not necessary. So pretty much, let's recap. Things you want to look for are repeated words like Jenny gets or the first angle, whatever that might be. Those are nice hints to find. There's also formulas you want to look out for. Maybe they talk about area or perimeter, or maybe they're assuming the triangles where you have the sum of the angles equals 180. You also want to look out for things that will require you to draw a picture of some sort. Pictures are very nice and they make it really easy to work with for word problems. So keep those things in mind. Keywords like is means equal to, of translates to multiplication. Knowing those chapter 9 words, those keyword phrases that we talked about in 9.1 or 9.2, can't quite recall, that will also help you. So just be careful of vocab. And that is all.